Hello, everybody, and welcome into this week's 30 Minutes program. Every once in a while, we come across somebody that we really believe you need to hear from. And it's because she has done so many things in her community, in her county, and more importantly, in her state, and for that fact, probably even the United States of America. This is Paige Dennis, who I have known for a number of years. She is quite the entrepreneur. Now, I don't know how to define entrepreneur with you, but I just know you've been doing a lot of things, Paige, and I'm glad to have you on the radio here today because you've made a lot of noise with good things that have been going on. People have been talking about your new building in downtown South Fulton, Joanne's, and being on national television for a while and still doing this. I just don't know where to begin somewhere because I think in a big picture to all of this, is that you have a story to tell.
Well, thanks, Paul, for having me. Appreciate you picking me out to be on 30 Minutes. I don't know how we could talk about myself for just 30 minutes, but I think we can talk about my involvement. I feel like I've known you since God was a little boy, Paul.
Well, thank you very much. But you know, when in a big picture, you, at somewhere along your life, you decided you wanted to do something. What was that one something that you wanted to do?
You know, I think that it all kind of started when I was a little girl. My grandparents are from Hickman, Kentucky, and you know, they would take me around under the age of, you know, like 6, 7, and they treated me like I was 40. So I kind of had the crafted wording of Paige was born 40 years old. Mm-hmm. So I did things. I can remember, sadly, buying her a pack of cigarettes in the gas station when I was a little kid. I went to auctions. She made sure I was around people, that I was able to communicate, not just from the church house, but to the schoolhouse, and to go to every public event that was happening. I remember when the jail opened in Hickman, Kentucky, and Martha Lane Collins, female governor, state of Kentucky, was coming in. And that was kind of a big deal, and she wanted me to be there. So I knew at that time that there was a bigger life outside of our small town, but you could still be in the small town and have the bigger life. You
own a dress shop, a very, very nice dress shop, if you'll allow me to call it that. Yeah. And you've been involved in state politics, and we're not going to call it politics, but that's what people would call it. Sure. You have been involved in so many things. You graduated high school from South Fulton.
I did. I'm not going to tell you how long ago, but a long, long time ago.
And then after you did that, what did you do?
Well, went to college, waited tables my whole life. I worked, waited tables until I got out of college. But I, in all actuality, started working in the family business that I delivered the commercial and appeal newspaper with my dad's on Sundays. And I wanted to participate in a pageant. And we really didn't have those funds. My brother had passed away at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital of cancer, my older brother. And, you know, I was the oldest sibling then. So I rolled the paper with Dad. Extra money, we'd pick it up at 2 o'clock on Sunday morning at the Phillips 66 gas station. I had my coffee. He had his. And I wanted to do the school pageant. And so I circled some classified ads in the commercial appeal of where some dresses were located, of where I knew the addresses. And I took my paper route money and I bought those dresses. And soon in Woodland Mills, Tennessee, we had 7, 8, 9 dresses in the enclosed garage that my dad enclosed. And people were calling our home phone number. And I realized we had a business. Mm-hmm. And that's when we started.
How did the business get its name? Of course, I know.
My mom, yeah. So my mom and I, it became our project. She had just given birth again to my younger brother, Justin William Anthony Burcham, who lives in Murray, Kentucky. And we started it. I mean, we just organically started it. And we started in Fulton, Kentucky. It was when we first had our real big storefront on Walnut Street, which is over near where the post office is. And I loved being there. I went to school at South Fulton. I graduated high school. And, you know, I walked downtown Fulton, South Fulton, paying the water bill, going to the post office, and getting to know everybody in the local community. And it just always felt like home. So I continued with the store and with her, and then I became a designer overseas. So I lived over in China probably about 3 months a year, and then would be in Paris and Milan about 4 times a year buying fabric. And those products were owned and distributed by an Indian-owned company out of Chicago, but to Nordstrom's and Neiman Marcus and things like that. And then I got a couple of big breaks, and those were Carrie Underwood, Gwyneth Paltrow, some really, really good dresses that we put out there that became successful for us, that were on movies and commercials and things like that.
Now you went from Woodland Mills to Fulton, and then you spent some time in Union City as well.
Well, here's the thing. I was in the county school system, and South Fulton school system's just as close as Troy, the South Fulton High School was, when you think about mileage and driving back and forth. So my mother had the business in Fulton, so it only made sense that I attend school in South Fulton, mileage-wise. So that's why I went to South Fulton School, and it always felt like home to me, still does. My children attend school there. Got twins. They're in South Fulton Elementary School, boy and girl. Light of my life. And, when I retired from designing, which I made that decision, it was time to come home. If you're going to have a family, you get to a certain age, well, you got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did it. And so I come back and sold the house that I owned and bought, which was here, and then bought a house in South Fulton, and that became my family home. Got married, had 2 kids. That's the story.
Your vision has taken you to Nashville, and I don't know, and of course people that do know you well enough, that you have served on an election commission board a number of years, and you also have a position in Nashville, or have had there.
Sure. One
of those. Tell us about that.
Well, at 16 years old, I become involved in politics.
Why?
I came from a family of politicians in different realms. Jennifer Burcham Kaufman served on the Kentucky State Supreme Court Justice Western District Division, which is my cousin appointed by President Bill Clinton. I had a cousin that was sheriff of Obion County. If you look back, you'll see the last name Burcham is sheriff. I also had some state representatives in the Kentucky side on my family, and we've just always been what I call an involved political family. And at 16, I started working on different campaigns. At 19 years old, I was an officer in our county party, Democratic Party. Congressman John Tanner was one of my mentors, and then he encouraged me to run for state executive committee woman, and I was the youngest woman elected to public office in West Tennessee on a state level. So I did that for years, and then was appointed to the county election commission, and then I was the female chairwoman for the State Registry of Election Finance, which is a 6-member committee that audits political action committees and candidates' campaign finance reports that are filed on a quarterly basis. So I'm still on that 6-member committee, and I'm the only female and the only non-attorney. And now I'm on the United States Election Standards Board, which is a federal board.
I've kept looking and watching how your professional life and how your personal life, and I don't want to say the word political life, but that is.
Yeah. So
you have a lot of different, you have a lot of spoons in the bowl right now.
You do. Yeah, I mean, I do, and you have to. And to me, you've got to have different things to keep you excited about life. I'm excited about my home life. I'm excited that I still have some fresh tomatoes that I cut up for supper last night. I do love the public process of the way politics is done. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. I just like to make sure that I do my part, which is very easily lined out for what I'm supposed to do. And sadly, sometimes politicians don't do their part, and we have the responsibility of turning whatever findings from audits that are done by our professional auditor teams over. So to authorities or attorney generals, or in some cases, even the FBI.
The thing that people don't realize that there has to be some someone overlooking all of the things that are taking place. And hopefully they get it right the first time. Sometimes it takes a little while before we get some things. Matter of fact, as our time is dated, but they're still trying to count the votes in a couple of the congressional.
Sure.
And, and I'm okay with that, but I'm thinking, why does it take so long? So,
yeah, I mean, it's different laws in different areas. I mean, some people call for conformity and consistency across the United States, and some people call for that to be handled by each individual state Secretary of State office and their election coordinator. In Tennessee, however, I will tell you that we were voted number 1 in election integrity. Trey Hargett is our Secretary of State, as you know, and Mark Goins is our coordinator of election. And I also serve on a federal committee with him on the Election Standards Board. So I think we're doing a good job of trying to keep things organized and consistent. And I think we're really doing a good job here in Tennessee.
But your heart is clearly on the state line, if you will. You love Kentucky, you love Tennessee, you love Fulton, you love South Fulton. You thought enough of it that you've got involved in your local community.
I've heard the saying, go big or go home. And I just decided, Paul, that it was time to go big and go home. Why couldn't you do them both, right? And so if people were flying to me, just this past week, we had customers from Florida, Venezuela, Montana, this weekend staying at the Meadows Hotel, which really was the revitalization catalyst of our community. Jeff Campbell is not only my neighbor, one of my best friends, but he really took the community to a new level when he put in the Meadows Hotel. And if someone hasn't had dinner over there or stayed there, we're really missing out, because there's not a hotel even as nice from the Peabody to the Hermitage in Nashville, the closest things to what he has to offer, and it's right here in our community and backyard. And the food is exceptional, too. So across the street, it was always my dream for it to be an experience, for the customer to be able to fly in from America Samoa, from Serbia, and stay at the hotel. And
listen, I've been to America Samoa. It is a hike, and anybody that comes from here to there, they have a reason.
We had them.
Yeah.
We had them this year.
Well, let's back up for just a little bit. So you decided it was time to be at home, and you built a beautiful, beautiful store.
Yes, with the help of the community and looking together at what we could do for our community. It's not just me. It's a group of people that have built a coffee shop down the street. If you haven't had Twin Cups Coffee House, it's absolutely amazing. We're seeing new businesses open like Butterfly Lane, which is a clothing store downtown. We have a new vascular surgery center, a surgery center in Fulton, Kentucky. It is right behind the hotel. And Main Street Treats, which is a great place with homemade treats and ice creams and things like that. It's fabulous. And restaurants. I mean, really, Fulton has went from, what is Fulton, to, Fulton and South Fulton, I can go there and I can spend the day. And with the new sidewalks and infrastructure in place and Wi-Fi, it's really something.
Your business, your store, Joanne's, is the official wardrobe of the Miss Tennessee Scholarship Pageant. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we do the Miss Tennessee Scholarship Pageant.
What is that?
Yeah, Miss Tennessee Scholarship goes to Miss America. And that pageant last year was held in Johnson City, Tennessee. And it's a wonderful organization. It's one of the largest scholarship organizations for women in the world. And we actually sponsor several states. Young women can get involved in the program as long as you attend school or you work here. It's free to get involved. Miss Colorado, we actually dressed her this year, and she was the winner of Miss America. It's not our first Miss America, but she's a graduate of the United States Air Force Academy. She is a fighter pilot. She jumped out of a plane on D-Day at Normandy this year at the anniversary, and she will be attending Harvard in July. So I've known Madison, and she's come and stayed here several times, and I'm really looking forward to visiting with her again, which will be next month when I see her.
Miss Tennessee Outstanding Teen and Teen Princess Pageants, and the sponsor of Mrs. Tennessee and Mrs. Mississippi America Pageants, and those are things that you've been involved with.
We do about 37 different states that we help with, it might be a different system in different states. So.
Tennessee, Georgia, Mississippi, USA pageants. The Miss Tennessee, Georgia, and Mississippi teen USA pageants. So,
yes, and then Volunteer, which is a branch off of America, which is national pageant is held in Jackson.
Yeah,
it's one of the largest growing system right now, and we sponsor and help with all 51 title holders.
You were talking about your hometown or hometowns, if you will.
Yeah.
You not only had a beautiful new building, a beautiful new store. I think you led me everywhere into where it could be just before it got completely finished. But I was amazed at and I'm got to remind myself, Paul, you don't know much about this subject, but what I do know is people come from all over to buy a dress from Joann's.
They do.
Why? Why you? What sets you apart for all of these people that come to do this?
I think one of the things is inventory. So we have a huge inventory. The second thing is that we are able to create, and we have a vision. So it's almost like a Build-A-Bear workshop. You can pick the top of this dress, the beading of this dress, the fabric of this dress, the color of this dress, and we build your dress. It's not necessarily a dress that someone else has. It's the only dress you have. It can be indigenous to you. And I think that's one of the things that our creativity level and being able to sketch that out and show you the fabrics and get that custom made for you is really special. What people probably don't know is around 25% of our products, which is a lot in today's society, are made in the USA. Some of them are even made in Fulton, Kentucky, where we've had one of our suppliers move and relocate their factory to Fulton in order to service us along with their entire staff. I recall something you told me in our visit to your store, and that was you have, and I think you had I may be incorrect about the number, 7 seamstresses that are constantly working with you. Did I get the number right? We have 17 different seamstresses that work in different states that we outsource. They make all of the money themselves. We don't make a cut off that money. Yeah. That we recommend that can help do the finishing on things when they come in if someone doesn't want to make the trek back to here, wherever they are. So we recommend those. We have others in other places. If you tell me you need a seamstress and just call me. I can hook you up.
Yeah, I've got a blazer. I need to have somebody look at it. So
I can do it.
I'm gonna give it to you and let you take care of it. Paige Dennis is with us today. If you have not met her or had seen her, she does a lot of things, and you're in television also. Now, how did that come about?
Well, the first television show I guess that I did was probably about 20 years ago. And I was hosting a fashion show, and they wanted me to be a character on a reality show. Was based in New Jersey, but we were filming in Chicago. So I was hosting the event. And, I like to know what people do, how they work, how they make things happen. And so I was talking to the producers and, can I get y'all some coffee? Can I make you a pot of coffee? What can I do in the break room where we were shooting? And, instead of talking to the people that were actually the stars of the show, I was just talking to them, and they said, how did you get here? What are you doing here? I said, well, I'm work for the Chicago-based company. And then a few days later, my phone rang, and they said, we're cutting you from the show. I said, I am so sorry. I disappointed you. I let you down. They said, no, you're your own show.
Wow.
And so here they come, and they just showed up. They called me and said, we're on our way to Union City. The store was in Union City at the time. And so we filmed our first show, and it was immediately picked up by Lifetime. And that was wonderful. I mean, it's hard. Everyone wants a television show. And so that was a fun show. And then after that, it's no secret, my best friend is Allison DeMarcus, who's married to Jay DeMarcus, who is 1/3 of Rascal Flatts, who's going back on tour. They're starting in Evansville on February. It's their first tour date, so we're excited for the Flats to be back out there. And Allison and I have been friends for years, and she asked me if I would come and do, an audition for her show and see how it worked, because I'm really one of those people that I'm not going to take anything from her. I give it right back to her. So we argue back and forth. If she says, "Oh, do you think this looks good on me?" Most people say, "Oh, you look beautiful." I'll say it looks like, you know what? Allison and I get along great, and because I'm honest with her. Mm-hmm. And so they immediately cast me for that show, which was done through Todd Chrisley Productions. And we were picked up by Netflix and had a great viewing, seen all over the world, which also helped the notoriety of the store and store branding. And we were getting ready to start season 2. Of course, we had a lot happen with Mr. Chrisley, which was our production company, personally, and still thinking about him during this time. And then now I'm working on another project. So,
what is it?
I can't really say. NDAs are very, very specific. But I will tell you, I'm working on a project now, and I've worked on a couple of projects that didn't come to fruition, but this one I'm feeling has got some legs to it, and it would focus on our Twin Cities.
You've just joined us, Paige Dennis. She's with Joann's, as most of you know. You probably have seen her either on television or maybe in the store or maybe in the community. I would like to go back to something that you talked about earlier, and that is your investment with others, perhaps, in the Fulton Railroaders. You talked about that.
Yes. I mean, put me in, Coach. I'm excited. I mean, I love sports. I grew up in a sports family as well, and I played sports. I was never the number one player on the team, but I always thought that good sportsmanship and being involved in sports was a good activity for children. And I was one of those that was totally enthralled with it. St. Louis Cardinal fan, Cubs fan. Also, you can be both. And then, of course, I'm that fair weather Kentucky basketball, Tennessee balls, football fan. And I like Ohio State, too. But, Fulton Railroaders came available, and some of us in the community got together. Of course, Jeff Campbell, and Sam Hancock helped spearhead that. And we decided, hey, let's buy a baseball team for this kiddie league, this wooden bat league, which brings people in from all over the country. And I don't think people realize they're coming in from Oregon. They're coming in from Florida. They're coming in from everywhere just to play baseball and for that 2-month league in Fulton. And it's getting seen by a lot of D1 coaches. A lot of them are D1, D2 players, JUCO, which is junior college players. And we have housing set up for them with different host families all over the Twin Cities.
Outside of your family, who is the person that you turn to first? Or maybe you have 2 or 3 people that you turn to whenever you need some advice or maybe just bounce off an idea.
It's got to be Jeff. Jeff's honest as the day is long with me, Jeff Campbell. And for people that don't know Jeff, he's from Fulton. He was very successful with being SF Railroad as an executive, and he came back home and he invested in his community. And as you and I talked about previously, it started with the Paint the Town project. And then he went from there to redo different corners in Fulton. One was a clock tower that pays homage to his parents, another with Unity Park, and helping procure the funding there. And even with the Amtrak station that we're going to be see really happening soon, that I'm sure you've heard about. So when he did the Meadows Hotel, it was just like, wow, we talked about it. And I said, if you build it, they will come. And they came. And it stays full. And it's already expanded. And so, yes, Jeff, I can bounce any idea off of.
Let me, not a commercial here, folks, but I'm going to ask these general questions. At what time, what year, how old does a young lady decide that she wants to be a beauty pageant queen? Now, when I use the time, do they start as young as 4, 10?
I mean, some do. I mean, I think it's a misconception that we just sell pageant dresses. We custom make everything from inaugural ball gowns to, I dressed an entire production of a musical, off-Broadway musical this year. So we sell a lot more than that. I think pageant people are great folks. I think it's all about discovering if you want to stay local or if you want to go to the national stage. And if so, we can help guide you on how that talent works and how different things work to get you to that direction. But it's different ages for different people.
Maybe not the right question, but do mothers and daughters get along when it comes to a dress?
You know, it kind of varies on the mother and daughter. I mean, right? I mean, do husbands and wives get along when they're picking a place for dinner? Now, where do you want to go? Where do I want to go? Where do you want? The same thing. You know, deep down, they may both settle on Chinese, but she may have wanted to go to the heart. It's the same thing with the dress.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I come in and try to bring everybody together so they're happy.
And in this world of pageants, when is it that a young lady should consider or parents should try to get their children into
There's no
pageants?
right or wrong time. You know, I think people should understand the scholarship money and the amount that's available out there. You know, you're more likely to have a son compete in the Super Bowl than a daughter to compete in Miss America, statistically.
You know, I like what you just said about that. And when I think about small children, you get a lot of pictures and all of these kinds of things. And sometimes the kids just don't want it. And other kids, they want more of it.
Just when they want it. And what I say is come by and just play dress up. We're open 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
We're closed Thanksgiving Day. We're going to close Christmas Day, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be there by myself Christmas Eve in the morning. I don't make my employees work. But then the next day we're off is Easter Sunday.
Your next vision, you have it yet?
Yeah.
I mean, as an entrepreneur here in this community.
I do. I've got my next thing that I'm kind of thinking about doing. You know, and you've got to lay the bricks and lay the groundwork. And sometimes you got to compete with, you know, other entities outside of this area, I think, and try to bring it here. And I think Pat Summit really said it best. And I know you're a big fan of hers, and I am too. And I tell you how I'm going to beat you. I'm going to outwork you. That's it. That's how I'm going to do it. And that's what I've done my whole life. I've outworked.
I want to go back to one person in your life, your mom.
Yeah. Yeah, Joanne, the Joanne, as we like to say.
You get called that every once in a while?
Absolutely.
All the time?
Not all the time, but yeah, I get called Joanne. Sometimes I get called other things other than a child of God, but you know, my mom is great. She's always been open-minded, especially as of late. But when I purchased the business, now I've owned the business longer than her. And next year, we'll be coming up on the 40-year anniversary of Joanne's. I mean, there's not many second-generation family-owned businesses that make it 40 years, but we've done it.
I know in my heart where you are, but you're very close to the Lord in all of these things, and I know you're a woman of God. And a lot of times people think that business people are just a certain way, and they're focusing it all on it's business. It's business.
I try not to miss church, but I do. I do miss, but been a member of the Methodist Church for years. And when my church closed, West Hickman United Methodist, I transferred automatically to First Church in Hickman. But I attend Fulton Methodist Church, and I officially transferred my membership there with Pastor Sue. It's a wonderful church, and I love going to not the contemporary service, but the regular service there.
Never asked this question, so hold on. What do you pray about?
Number one, your family. Okay, you got to do that, but also for direction. I think direction is probably one of the most important things. Direction.
Yeah, Paige, I've really enjoyed having you.
Oh, thanks,
today.
Paul.
It's been fun because we did this without script, and when we talk about our program, it helps to have other people maybe who had a problem or maybe had a thought or maybe they want to be like Paige Dennis and to take it to the next level.
Well, I will tell you that we pay some of the highest wages. If you've got a high school girl that's looking for a job and can work Saturday and Sundays from January to April, come by and see us. We make it a fun atmosphere. It's great.
Our guest today, Paige Dennis of Joanne's, downtown Twin Cities. Paul Tinkle, pre-recorded. Thanks for listening, everybody, to this week's 30 Minutes program.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.